Well folks, welcome back to the workshop. Today up on the workbench we have a Bosch cordless planer. This one's the GHO18V-LI, the older style one but still current. They still actually sell this one. Well, must do because it's not even that old. What is she? 2021. There's another model as well, a bigger one, but this is the smaller DC motor. This one, customer says, it's getting a bit noisy, so we're going to see if we can fix this up. She's running, but she sounds rough. He reckons there might be a bearing gone in it. We're going to see if we can strip this apart and change the bearings in it, or even what bearings are actually in this thing, because this particular model from Bosch, there ain't much repairing in them, to be quite honest. They don't really sell many parts. They sell you the knob, a couple of bits up around here, and the handle, the switch unit, motors and other part number, and then everything down here is basically one piece. You can't buy these aluminium plates, you can't buy the body, you have to buy everything down here together, including the actual cover and everything. That's your dust port. But I think the drum's separate from that, but most of the bits in this here are all gripped, and most of them are just too expensive to replace, including the motor and the base. But hopefully we can fix this up with just a few bearings. But I've never opened one of these before, so we're going to have to see how to get into the thing. Now, there's only a single blade one as well, I think. Yeah, just the same as the old Bosch green DIY stuff, just one blade. And that is very stiff. So it's only a DC motor, so it's not as much power as a brushless one, so you can only really use one blade on it. First thing, see which bearings are gone. It feels a little bit slack too. This might be just from the bearings being worn out. So if the bearings are gone on the motor over here, you're a problem, because this is a DC motor. Can't really get onto it to change the bearings unless you change the whole motor. Still turns, but it is a little bit rough. But this one's very stiff. Looks like that has the worst bearing. Yeah, motor sounds okay. We'll go ahead of this and see if we can fix it. Didn't need to take that off actually. There's nothing underneath it. All the screws are actually around here. Two more up here. No, actually that can't come off either. So this is going to be a bottom half, look. There's the DC motor on side. It's not like a standard planer where everything pulls out from the side. This actually opens up from the bottom. So this bottom half is meant to come off. But it includes here. But obviously this handle and base stopping it from opening. How do we take them off? Most have a little nut or something up inside of here. Which this one does not. How does that come off? So it's an angle plate on a slider. So it has to connect onto this, and there's no screw. Aha. There we go. So there's two wee pins down here, wee springs and a ball for actually the detent for locking the position. Put your screwdriver on, push down the ball, and turn it past the actual lock. Once it goes past, actually slide out. It's got a wee keyway in here, look. So that just slides on, and then that must be just connecting onto the base down here. I wonder if we can take that off now. There we go. Tiny little motor. Thought that was going to be bigger than that. That is teeny tiny. But there is a bearing on it. Change this end. Sadly, we can't change that end. And the end's gone. So in other words, there ain't much I can do with this. Drum then is a very, very basic machine. The drum is just a needle bearing, a top bearing, and that top bearing's gone. Seized solid. Funnily enough, it hasn't melted the housing. A wee bit there, mind you, but not too much. Price this, see how much it's going to cost, but imagine that'll be too expensive. So like I say, for this, motor's one piece, £141 sterling for the little tiny motor. That ain't going to be worth it. Now you can buy the belt if it breaks. What's that, £7 or £8? You can buy the retainer for the battery, the controller, again not going to be worth it, 141. You buy the handle for the top. You can't buy the switch. You can't even buy the top half on its own. You have to buy the top and the bottom, the two aluminium plates. Actually, to buy all this, you can buy the belt cover and the dust extraction tube and the handle for the knob. But if any of these here things break, you have to replace all that as one piece. And that is costing another £100, so that ain't going to be worth it. So we want a bearing. Don't know if we'll bother changing this one, but we will change this one, and we'll leave the needle bearing. They don't even supply this bearing on its own. Even worse than that, they don't even supply the blade retainer on its own. So if you break the actual retainer on the drum, you have to replace the whole drum kit, which is another £50. Is that just a single blade? What the hell? Those things are rip-off. Yeah, that's what the wee paring knife is the actual blade. They'll sell you the blade, but they won't sell you the retainer. Only this whole drum kit. And they're ripping you off even the blade. You can buy a packet of blades, 2 blades for what? €8. They're trying to charge you £17 for one. They're a standard disposable planer blade, an 82mm. There's nothing different about it. So if you have one, don't be buying the Bosch one. Just get a normal packet of disposable blades. Now, question is, what are we going to do with this thing? get it running better, I only need to change that bearing. That'll give it more power. But this motor's shot. But at £150 it's not going to be worth replacing it. That one's starting to fail, but it's still nice and free. This one is totally shot, but that's in the actual DC motor, so I cannot replace this one. But to be honest, it doesn't really matter. May as well run it like this anyway, because it's still going to run even with its bad bearing. It's just not going to sound great, but it'll run on anyway till it eventually burns out completely. And if it does, it's still just the same part you're going to be replacing, the whole motor. And as well, the brushes on it are fairly well worn down. So eventually it's going to have to be replaced anyway. So may as well just run it on until the brushes are gone, or this here fails completely. So what we're going to do is just change this bearing. Swap that out and get it running again. It'll get it running a little bit better and save him from having to buy a new machine just yet. But eventually we'll have to. But this will just leave it a wee cheap fix for him. But I definitely wouldn't be recommending he buys one of these again. This is very basic. Very cheap, not very well designed at all, plus way too overpriced to actually repair anyway. It's basically a glorified Bosch green DIY machine. That's what I would class this thing as. Not much to it at all. What I'd recommend would be the Makita one. Far better machine, especially the brushless. Can do way more with it. They're a wee bit more expensive, but they're a way better machine. Far better quality and far more features. You can actually rebate with the Makita one as well. This one you can't, it's just a plain planer. Literally, this here drum is what you would get inside the green corded Bosch machines. Right, the question is, how am I getting this pulley off now? Because that has to come off first. And it does look like it's threaded. It might be heated on. Let's see if we can heat it off first. Might be an expansion fit. Right, she's definitely hot enough, but it ain't budging. So it's been a wee bit thran. See if the pullers will actually shift it. That's if it isn't threaded on. That's very tight. Yeah, that is tight. I have no intention of that coming off. That is on there. Right, if you're at home, forget about changing this bearing. I have no intention of you taking this off. Now to heat that up nice and hot, you can just press it off on a bearing press. You can still it was tight. Right, need to take note of this now. Remember where this was in the shaft. There's a wee bit of a mark there. I have to line that up again for the body, because this is just a straight shaft. And the bearing, we'll have to get this on roughly the same place, because that'll have to match the body as well, and there's no markings or shoulder for to press onto. You can press this all the way on to the actual drum itself. So you have to be careful not to overdo it. Even the bearing's tight. There we go. On inside it's just a standard 608 bearing, CW. Right, let that cool for a second. We'll change this over. So luckily there's still a mark where the bearing's actually meant to be. Get it roughly right. And no, bearing press is not fixed yet. Still leaking. This one's going to be a bit of a guessing game. It's already dropping. Let's see, that'll be close enough. For any doubt, have it sticking too far out instead of too far on. If it's too far on, it's going to rub on the body. But if it's too far out, it'll just clear a little bit more. Might put more strain in the belt. It'll be alright. So that's that bearing changed. Needle bearing, wherever it went to, should hopefully be fine. Might just give it a quick wee clean out and a little bit of grease onto it. This one you could change if you wanted. Same thing, you'll probably have to press off this gear and then press off the bearing. But it's not going to be worth me doing it. So I'm going to leave that alone. It'll be tricky enough to press that one off because it's on a much smaller gear. These little bearings, sometimes the grease can be a bad idea because this is a planer. It can sometimes just allow sawdust to get stuck onto it. But we want this a little bit quieter, so we'll put it on this time. The motor's not going to last anyway, so makes no real odds. Much better. I wish I could quieten this one down, but I just can't. That's just going to flap around until the motor burns out. But for the cost of this repair, it's still going to be worth it. Now this should just drop on. Getting it off is the difficult bit. But reassembling should be easy. This thing is just, to be honest, quite terrible. Probably a decent wee planer to use, but not for the money. At least all the screws on them are the exact same. Doesn't matter which order you take them out on. I'll just get this handle back on again. So there's two wee pins and springs either side of here. So the round for moving the base right up at the top next to the actual pin or the keyhole. This keyway, make sure your aluminium base at the bottom is slid all the way to the top so that this hole is in the right position. Push it in and just twist. It's actually nice and easy. Reinstall the belt. Adjust port adjuster. That's just letting you the dust come out one side or the other in case you're left or right handed, or which side you're standing on whenever you're planing. Stop it coming back in your face. And that's it. One Bosch planer with a single new bearing. It's not going to sound perfect because the motor at the end of the day is still on its way out. It still sounds better though. The motor bearings are still encased in themselves. That one has actually failed. The top one mightn't be, but the actual back one is in the metal body of the DC motor. Doesn't matter how much damage it is, it's still only destroying the motor. It's different if the top one was gone. If that was gone completely, it would be destroying the housing, same as this drum one. But the actual back of the motor one doesn't really make much odds. That's her. Up and running again with one 608 bearing. The Bosch GHO18V-LI. If you're buying a cordless planer, wouldn't go for this one. Get the bigger version or else buy the Makita. Hopefully this wee video helps somebody out there to fix up their Bosch planer and save them from having to buy a new one. Anyway folks, thanks for watching. As always, give us a wee like and a follow down below to help out the channel, and chat to you next time. Cheers!